Well, Ulysses, we love to do it each and every time. Mailbag episode.
Yes, we go all over what the offseason entails for the Rays. So let's talk about it right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on the social media channels, X and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and email us anytime. Love the mailbag questions as per usual, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's get right into it. We have a trio of mailbag questions to dive into. This first one here from our buddy Michael Begg. He says, hey guys, there's been decent buzz on Arozarena and Paredes being shopped around. Given the fact we just swapped Margot for DeLuca and Caminero/Meade can man third base, maybe Bendix and the Marlins look like a decent match. Jesús Luzardo has been mentioned in trade rumors. The Marlins bullpen has a few arms that would look nice in our stable. Scott, Nardi, Puck, and so on. What are your thoughts on some combo of Randy and or Isaac for Luzardo and a bullpen arm or two? Obviously, there would be additional details in any potential trade. Looking forward to your thoughts. As always, thank you for the podcast.
Well, thank you, Mike, for sending this in and for participating in the community. It's really cool to have people like you in the community. Dude, okay, so first, Jesús Luzardo, he is obviously a recipient of the now well-known Venezuelan bump. So Correct. He gets that automatically.
And well-deserved based on his recent performance.
My goodness, if you haven't known about Luzardo, this is me telling you his 2023 numbers. 178 and 2/3 innings pitched, a K rate of 28.1, walk rate of 7.4. He had an ERA of 3.58. He was a 3.7 WAR player. So all of that to say is he's a pretty darn good pitcher.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Now, I've said this. I think that the pitching depth of the race is as thin as we have ever seen it in years past. Mm-hmm. The 7 and 8 names might not be as comfortable. Yeah. 7, 8, 9,
and as uncertain with the rehabilitation of Rasmussen and Boz and Springs and their timetables, and then what can we really truly expect from Zach Littell and Taj Bradley? Like we should have known, and I mean Pepio for that matter as well. Really the known quantities are Eflin and Savali, and then other guys have major question marks on the books.
I mean, yeah. And I know that, you know, we can be as homer as we can, but when you look at that rotation, Eflin, you're right. He's the only known quality. And even then, he just had his best career year with the Rays last year. So he like that was his best. Some people just have peaks. Is that his peak?
Right.
So that in itself is a question mark. Savale, he's an unknown quantity. Littell, do you really think he's going to do the same thing? Like, can you really put your hand on the fire for that? Pepio, small sample size. Awesome. Small sample size. And Taj Bradley, up and down season, really, as you would expect a rookie to have. So Shane Baz coming from TJ, like I just a lot of question marks in the pitching rotation, the 5 and then 6, 7, 8. You're talking Mason Montgomery, who's never seen major league action. You're talking Jacob Lopez, who's seen 10 innings of, hey, we really need, can you take these innings that nobody wants to take, Jacob? Yeah. Okay, here you go. So that's his experience. So just a lot of question marks that we have never had to experience as a Rays fan for the last like 15 years. So it is a little bit unsettling. So a trade for a Luzardo I would welcome it. I would welcome it, except for the fact that as a Rays fan, if you had to, trust the front office in something, would it be the offense or would it be the pitching? I think that's as easy as a question as one can post. That would be the pitching. I would trust Rays front office over pitching over offense any day of the week. So am I really going to just give away Randy, or not give away, but just trade Randy or trade Isaac when you can't really say that the offense is going to be as awesome as we saw it in 2021 and in 2023? I don't know, man.
Would you trade Isaac Paredes straight up for Jesús Luzardo? And I should note that Luzardo, arbitration eligible in 2024 or this year as well. He's a free agent, or set to be a free agent in 2027. He is represented by Scott Boras.
See, yeah, you already gave me a pretty good con there with Luzardo.
Maybe the Rays do a with, again, being represented by Boras, it's highly unlikely, but a trade Isaac for Luzardo contingent on Luzardo signing a contract extension with Tampa Bay.
See, the thing with Isaac though is that he's so young and he just popped off. Like, you would really want to see what he can do, and like maybe can he be a guy that you can build around? Can he be a Brendan Lau? Can he be a core piece of the team? I don't know. I feel, even though I've stated everything that's wrong with the pitching depth right now, that I love Luzardo and what he can do, I don't think I make that trade.
Would you be less likely or more likely to make a trade if you swap out Paredes for Arozarena?
I will tell you something else. I think I would be more okay with this trade if Wander Franco was a clear yes in the lineup. If Wander Franco is in the lineup 100%, I'm like, yeah, okay, I would do Randy for Luzardo. Yeah, right. Okay, I think I could do Isaac for Luzardo. Isaac, though, I think I would keep more than Randy just because of the age, and just the power potential.
And that's probably why, well, who knows what the Marlins want exactly, but I do know that they are fiending for more offense. I think their pitching is in a pretty good shape, although the reports are like, hey, we're not trading Luzardo. If you want Edward Cabrera or Trevor Rogers, okay, but Luzardo is more so off the table. And I mean, looking at their depth chart, I think they're okay in the outfield with De La Cruz, Sanchez, and Chisholm. I think it's middle infield that might need a boost. And that's kind of where, as Michael pointed out, and then I added to, Paredes might be a good fit for them. Although talk about, I know the Marlins, always hurting for attendance, but having a Cuban connection and a Randy connection, I'd like to see what they're like. If they can't get any movement going with a Randy land of their own, there's just, I just assume there's no hope for them whatsoever as far as drawing fans in. Just saying.
Yeah, no, that would be sick for Miami to have like a big Cuban star like Randy like that.
Yeah, that
would be huge. But I can't see myself doing this trade, even with the pitching question marks that we have. Right. I can't. But the Wander situation is just, looming over all of us, because if he was a clear yes, he's a shortstop, then I think I make both trades, either for Randy or for Isaac. I think I make both. I don't know. Do you feel the same way?
Well, I mean, it depends what the deal is and what's coming back. I'm sort of vacillating between multiple scenarios, because I do want to see Junior Caminero and Curtis Mead and other guys get an opportunity. But you also, that's a lot of offense and power and star potential that you may or may not be giving up in Isaac Paredes and Randy Arozarena. But I will say this, I'm glad that Michael brought this to our attention, because I think more deals are in the works in the future between these two organizations. I mean, Peter Bendix has already shown his hand of, we'll work with the Rays. We'll work with my former employer. We'll acquire guys like Christian Bethancourt. So there is a soft spot in his heart for with the Rays and or Rays players. So not so likely that, an Isaac and or Randy trade would line up for a Luzardo or some other pitcher. But I think more moves, more deals are on the come up in the future. And
the
I
Rays,
think the Marlins, they're nearing that point of like, okay, we need to compete for a playoff spot after going 84 and 78 last year.
yeah, and they sneaked in. Can they do a little bit better? And getting more help on the offensive side would definitely help that. But I agree. Bendix and the Rays do have that, that connection. It's going to keep going because we've seen it with the Dodgers too. Andrew
Yes.
Friedman and the Rays have had multiple deals. So they know each other. They know how they work. They know how they think. They know how they evaluate the players. So it makes sense that this would happen also with Miami.
All right, we have more questions to dive into, but first we have to tell you this. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel. They are America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action than right this very moment. The app is super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, such as spreads, player props, over, unders, and so much more. So go ahead, pay attention right now. FanDuel.com/lockedon. LOCKEDON to kick off the NFL season. I'll repeat it again. FanDuel.com/lockedon. LOCKEDON. FanDuel, they are an official partner of the NFL. All right. Well, we mentioned the Dodgers briefly here, and that kind of ties in with this next mailbag question we've received from Virginia Deck. Virginia says, the Dodgers will have everyone. The dream team. The Rays will not beat them. I guess the only thing left to do is go get some ammo to beat up on the Yankees, Orioles, Blue Jays, and Red Sox. That's what we do.
Well, Virginia, thank you for writing to us. Yeah, right. I mean, they look like a super team right now. They look like the Monstars. And look, if you're a Dodgers fan, like, how can you not be so happy? I mean, you've got that top three is going to be insane. Like, you got Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and then Shohei Ohtani. Like, gosh.
And Clayton Kershaw as well. I mean, you have 4 Hall of Famers when you add those 4 together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just insane what they have done. And, I saw an interview with Tyler Glasnow, and he was saying what we've all said, but it's kind of cool to see it from a baseball player to say it. He's like, yeah, the Dodgers are the Rays with cash.
Yeah.
That's what they are. And so I think as a Rays fan, you can't hate too much on the Dodgers because they do what the Rays do as well. They just have the biggest wallet,
Right.
And I think it's silly when Rays fans go like, "Oh, you're just buying a championship," which, of course that gets us upset if there's no player development. But the Dodgers have player development.
Yeah.
They have an amazing. They have the whole package. So, like, can you really be upset that they also have a big wallet? Like, we would love a big wallet. Are you kidding me? We would love to do that. Like, don't the Lightning have a pretty good payroll, right? I don't know about hockey. Do you know about hockey playoff hockey payroll?
Well, my understanding is they do have a salary cap, so that does take some things into account. But no, your point is well taken. I mean, it's all about what you're looking for. I mean, people complain if a team is too good. People complain if a team is tanking. Like, what are the Dodgers supposed to do? They're essentially as perfect and as well run as any organization in baseball, and they have the money, sort of like the Atlanta Braves, for instance. Now, what is, I guess, a little bit disappointing in my eyes is that, with the Ohtani contract and the deferment, like Evan mentioned and so many others have mentioned over the last several weeks, like, that is a loophole that I think has to be contained or situated or taken into account in some shape or form, because you can't let that happen continuously. And, I would expect, just based on the setup that they have now, like, I would not be surprised if they go out and do monster things and win 3-4 championships over the next decade. But the great thing about baseball and the playoffs, I mean, maybe it's the worst thing and the best thing, however you want to look at it, is there is a lot of parity in the playoffs, and the playoffs are notoriously unpredictable. Though, having star power usually does help you strike fear and gives you an advantage. But who would have expected the Arizona Diamondbacks to make it to the World Series this year? So things can happen, circumstances can happen. And the other thing too about this with the Dodgers and the Ohtani contract is, like, we talk about them having everything, player development and the payroll. They also have the man himself, Andrew Friedman, where, like, everybody wants to play or work for or work with him. The fact that there is a clause in Ohtani's contract that he can opt out if Friedman and one of the other executives leaves, that's a lot of weight on a guy, and that just tells you the type of boss and leader that Friedman is, and that people matter at the end of the day too.
Tell me, Andrew Friedman, when that thing was actually signed, he wasn't just like dancing on the sky, like cloud nine, just the happiest man ever. Like, that's like a tenured professor. Like,
basically,
I can do nothing wrong. Like, just take off all the pressure. Just completely eradicate all the pressure, because you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be there. Like, that's really cool, and you earn that with the moves that he's made, and the wit and just the development that he's done in the minor leagues, like everything, in the success and the wanting to keep succeeding. Because a quote came out that when they were courting Shohei, that they had mentioned that the last decade was a failure, because they had not really won more than the 2020 World Series ring. Like, dang, that's a different level of expected. Because I've never heard Eric Neander or Kevin Cash talk about the last 5 years as a failure, which, by the way, I don't think it is. I don't think the last 5 years as a Rays fan have been a failure. I think we want more than just getting into the playoffs. I think we're above that. But the Dodgers saying that what they have done, which is basically run the West 10 of their last 11 years, and the 1 year they didn't win the division was by 1 game when they won 106 games.
Yeah.
That's a failure. Like, there's a different echelon, in teams, and that's where the Dodgers are. Like, that's crazy.
Before we move on here, by the time that Shohei Ohtani's tenure is up in a Dodgers uniform, will the Rays have won or secured at least 1 ring?
Please. I still need to be considered young when the Rays win their first title. I can't just be like an old man.
Think about how much time that is. That's like 5 years into the new stadium.
Yeah.
Being open. What we think is, anyway.
I can't have it. I can't be in my 40s, bro. I have to be in my 30s. I can't deal with, because I'm gonna go nuts when that happens. And I want everybody here to know that I'm gonna go nuts when that happens. And you can't go nuts when you're 40 plus. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. It's just like, dude, calm down.
You can't leave you can't leave the stroller idle. You have to.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Are you telling me that first responders or public works crew, they're going to have to grease the light poles in Ybor City to prevent you from climbing, or I guess St. Petersburg, to prevent you from climbing up them like Philadelphia fans?
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of grease has got to be put on them poles, because it's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be crazy. I might buy a boat for the boat parade. Might buy myself a boat, then return it after 30 days free, right? That's how that works, right? Sure.
Yeah. I think something like that. People who can afford to buy boats will have to ask them.
Yeah.
All right. So there it is. A good question from Virginia, or statement there, I should say. This next one from Ty McCann, another OG listener, says, out of the available free agents, other than Longoria and Kiermaier, which player would you most like to see the Rays bring back for a reunion?
Ooh.
So you got to take Longoria out of the equation and Kiermaier out of the equation. I presume everybody else is on the table.
Great question, Ty. As always, thank you for being part of this community. From the beginning, man. From the beginning, Ty. Big shout out. Ty, man, you don't like this answer, but I'm good. If
you don't want any former X-Rays.
If you see
not even Jordan Luplow.
If you see Kurt Casale's numbers, no thank you, fam. If you see David Peralta's numbers, I'm all set. If you see Brad Miller, you walk the other way. Will Myers, woof. Just their time has gone. Their time has passed. They're fantastic ball players. They had fantastic careers. Don't need to see them in a Rays uniform.
Highly unlikely and unrealistic and not going to happen, quite frankly. But you wouldn't even want to see Blake Snell in a Rays uniform again. Taking into account the salary and the years and how that could theoretically hamstring the franchise to some extent.
So taking that out, taking the monetary.
No, taking that into consideration.
Oh, taking into consideration? No, I can't mean.
You're good.
Yeah, because I just know that Stu is, Stu just said no to 25 mil. So how is he going to say to 150, 200? No
See, I don't want to say I'm totally surprised, but I think we are kind of moving in another period of Rays era where it's like, okay, let's give some other guys a shot. Let's see who can be the next Kiermaier in Longoria, whether it's Caminero, Meade, Wander Franco, if and when he returns, and so on. But not even Tommy Pham to kick and whip the young players into shape and maybe have a strong postseason run, or it's just like, hey, we've already traded Glass now. We've already traded Margot. There might be there's pitching injuries galore, pitching uncertainty galore. Let's give everybody a shot. This is the 2024. Everybody gets a shot at the apple.
Well, this is the thing. I went with, what do the Rays need? Catching. So I went Casale. No way I went Casale. No way I went Mike Zunino. Right?
That's fair.
So what's another position that the Rays need? Maybe an outfield position. Well, I'm not taking Will Myers and I'm not taking David Peralta. Maybe you're like, okay, well, you need maybe a utility guy. Brad Miller. No chance. Or as our friend of the pod, David Sampson, would say, no chance, toilet pants. Mm-hmm. Then with Tommy Pham, I love me some Tommy Pham. I think the Rays definitely need some veteran leadership in that clubhouse because they're old kids, basically, there. And I can say that because I'm 32 years old and I'm older than Zach Eflin, damn it.
Are you really? Wow, I didn't think about that.
I know. Isn't that crazy? We're both older than Zach Eflin. Anyway. Depression.
Yeah.
So, Tommy Pham, I would think would be great. But then where does he play? Whose at-bats does he take out? Is he going to be a spot starter in the corner outfield and then you can DH most of the day? So Harold Ramirez is gone. Well, then I don't really get to see a lot of Caminero and Meade because if Harold goes, then that's where I want those at-bats to go to. So really, your hands are tied here.
Yeah.
With who you can.
And here we go. I'm glad you brought that up. Like, you trade Harold Ramirez, which legitimately could happen, and then you go out and sign Tommy Pham. Like, why? What was the point?
I'd rather have Harold
Ramirez. Yeah. You got a good thing going there, I think, anyway.
Yeah.
Now I'll say, and I just for the redemption factor and comeback factor and it being, a low signing risk, I guess, is I would actually like to see the Rays, give a minor league deal invite to spring training to Austin Meadows, just for that little hope of maybe he can get back that 30 home run, 90 RBI potential. Look, his career's probably done and shot and more so over with, but just giving him that opportunity, I guess. And quite frankly, I'd like to learn a little bit about, his struggles and what he's been going through and what led to some of his mental health and anxiety issues. And I mean, if you're talking about, being a semblance of his former self when he was in a Rays uniform, there's your corner outfielder, there's your lefty bat. So
I think there is not a Rays fan. I don't want to believe that there's a Rays fan in the world that would not be okay with a minor league contract and a spring training invite to Austin Meadows. I think we would finally achieve something that is unheard of, which is a 100% yes on any kind of question. Sign me up because you want to help out if you're a team like the Rays to somebody that you had in your organization. Didn't work out for him. Hopefully something you can catch lightning in a bottle. But just as a human thing, as a goodwill sign, I think that would be a terrific thing for the Rays to do.
Yeah, man, I wonder, because I remember there were rumblings of him being approached about a contract extension and what that number and figure was. And if it was 25, 30, 40 million dollars, like if he's looking back and saying, man, why didn't I sign that extension? Maybe that goes back to the struggle he's going through of the regret.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because then they send you to Detroit and you're like, son of what?
Yeah. And yeah, it's just a tough situation for sure. But I think that would be a nice route for spring training storyline, and just something I'm all about. Second chances, third chances. And it's not like he did anything bad. It's just something that he has to work through and fight through. And I mean, he's in his prime. I mean, he's still 28 years old. I mean, when he was going strong, he was an all-star.
He was an all-star. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
100%. I'm in. If there's a petition, I'll sign it.
Yeah. No, but I mean, if you look up and down the free agent listings, there are a lot of former Rays, as shouldn't be surprising. A lot of relief options as well. I mean, G-Man Choi is technically out there. Matt Duffy, Jesus Aguilar. I mean, it's an endless.
Apparently,
that you've got.
Aguilar's going to Japan.
Oh, okay. Well, good for him. Yeah, sometimes that might be the best move and play. Yeah. For some guys too. Hey, we already signed our X-Ray and Erasmo Ramirez, so we've got that quota there. So, all right. Thank you for the questions. Always enjoy them. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you later. If I can find the outro here. Yes.